Hi everybody, back again. Okay, today's video, I just wanted to talk a little bit about um, thoughts, right? Our cognitions, right? Um, a big part of healing, and I've spoken about it in other videos, is to be aware of your thoughts. Most people um, live their lives on autopilot, right? They go around, do what they do, right? Live their life. And there's a tape running in your head. The tape meaning your thoughts, what you think about yourself, others, life, the world, people, whatever. Everything, right? 70,000 plus thoughts a day. So we all have our unique set of thoughts. We don't all think the same things. Obviously, there's a collective, like a societal belief system in place regarding certain things, right? And we might have common thoughts about these certain things, right? Politics, rights of individuals, what's right, what's wrong, all those things. There's like societal, cultural dictates on thoughts. So there might be some commonalities there, right? But otherwise, um, we have our own unique experiences, our own unique path in life. We have um, different upbringings, right? Some might be similar, some might be different, right? One parent, two parent households, no parent, siblings, no siblings, right? So you get the point. It just goes on and on. We are all unique and we all have our own unique experiences and we have our own thoughts. I mean, sometimes people can be in the same exact households with siblings and they've all been exposed to the same parenting structure, if you will, or rules, guidance, whatever it is, right? And the siblings will have two totally different experiences. How is that? Like you'll hear people say, oh, they grew up in the same household. Well, it's different. I mean, sometimes children are, a child is born and the parents have one set of thoughts and beliefs and what they believe about child rearing or not and where they're at in their life with pressures of life and experiences, and they might be at one way with the first child. Then the second child comes and now they have two children to deal with, and they might have a different set of beliefs, a different set of tolerances, maybe a different financial circle. You see how it's very complex and it's very interconnected, but those two children came from the same parents in the same house and could have two totally different experiences and be raised like somewhat differently. Some things the same, but some things are just inherently different because you're not born at the same exact time. So that's kind of my point, to just drive home that we all have different structures, and different thoughts and different beliefs about life and our life experiences. And the big one is that I kind of wanted to focus on today because it really does affect life in general, but does affect the healing journey as well. And that is the cognition of personalization. There's a whole list, and I'll go through them in different videos, but there's a whole list of, they call them thought distortions, cognitive distortions, however you want to label them, they're all the same thing. But basically, the reason why I wanted to talk about personalization was because you see it everywhere in life. We experience it ourselves until you're aware of it. And then you can have a different thought about situations and circumstances. You could choose a different thought. But the reason why I bring up personalization is because it does lead to anxiety, right, and depression and different conditions for people. And I think everyone struggles with it at some point in their life until you know differently. And why I say that for personalization is when we go through life, And especially in our younger years, and when we're developing in our younger years until we're older, and until it could last your whole life, but until you're aware, is that we look outside of ourselves, right? We go outside of ourselves. What should I think about this? Like, well, my family thinks this, and my friends and whoever, is in our sphere of influence. What do they think about it? And then we kind of can, and a lot of times automatically think what those around us think. We think the same things. We agree, right? But my point is, when we personalize life, when we go outside of ourselves and we look for validation in life, like if I do this, am I getting positive regard, right? Positive feedback. If I do that, am I getting, the result that I want, right? If I do this, am I achieving something, right? I mean, it applies in so many different ways, but the reason why it's so pivotal is we look outside of ourselves for validation of our own value and our own worth, whether we're lovable or loving, right? We go outside for everything. And the challenge becomes is when you're in interpersonal relationships, I'll use that as an example. When you're in interpersonal relationships, the other person can have, there could say there's a change in behavior for some reason, and you don't understand what the change in behavior is. A lot of times, we will personalize that and make it about us. Well, such and such didn't call me because this and this happened, so now they're mad at me. When we have absolutely no idea if that is the case. We're personalizing it. We're making about us. We're making whatever the situation is about us. And it 99.9% of the time, my opinion, it has nothing to do with us. Nothing. So when we can shift at that framework of looking at things as meaning something about us, and shift that to be, I decide my value and my worth, right? And I'm content and at peace with who I am, where I am. I don't have to look out to others for those things. And when you have it within and you've cultivated it within, you don't look out to others to validate you. And that's when you become like a master. That's when you become a master of your emotional landscape, right? You're mastering your thoughts and you're mastering how you feel, because when you master your thoughts, you can master how you feel. Then you master your emotional state and your emotional well-being, and others can't touch it, right? That's it right there. But the key, one of the keys, and there's many actually, is to not personalize everything that goes on, right? Like say here's another example. They're all random because it applies to pretty much everything. I mean, if you're driving on the road and somebody cuts you off and you're like, oh, you're angry at the person and who were they? And, we've all done it at some point in our journey. And you get mad and we personalize it that person's driving like that and cutting us off, and it makes us angry because we can't control them, and we have it affect our emotional state, right? And then it affects us personally, right? And when we can just separate ourselves and change the cognition for something like that and say, like my grandmother used to say, which was great, she's like, oh, I hope you get where you're going. Get some for me too. She didn't get angry. She just was in her place, in her peace, right? In her happiness and joy. And obviously it did have some effect on her because she would make that statement, but she didn't get angry about it. So there's an example of how we can choose how we're going to respond. We choose it. We choose the thought, and her thought was, I hope you get where you're going, get some for me too. And then she went on her way, right? So we choose what we think. We choose how we're going to respond to whatever happens to us in life. And a lot of times, the reason why this, I believe, is just so powerful is people will, I've had it happen to me many times, come to you with their stuff, right? And they're trying to evoke a response in you based upon whatever's happening with them, right? Whatever's going on with them, they're trying to provoke a response in you. So we don't have to take the beat, right? And when we are in peace and we've cultivated our thoughts and our emotions, we don't just react and just respond. We choose our response, which could be no response, which could be whatever you want it to be that brings you the peace and comfort and joy for you, right? So that's how you can choose, right? What you think about is because you want to stay in your peaceful, centered, happy, joyful place, and that's up to you, right? And it's a wave, right? It's a wave. I've had experiences where I'm in total peace and happiness. People bring things to me and I don't respond, or I respond, with loving kindness, and it changes like the whole dynamic. But that's a choice, right? And then there's times where if you have personal things going on that are out of your control and you're not in your centered place, you can just react. Nobody's perfect. Nobody does it all the time. But it's kind of a wave. But the more you do it step by step, the more it becomes your norm. And then you create, how we are today creates tomorrow, right? So when we can be in a loving, healing, happy, joyful heart space, we're creating our future, right? So, and it's one step at a time. This moment creates the next moment, and it's a step-by-step process. I mean, and peace and centeredness is huge, because if we say, as an example, if you say, okay, what do I have to do to just get peace, to get peaceful and happy? What do I have to do? Give me the 10 steps. Well, you're not going to get to peace and happiness from an urgent, directive and then, how do I do it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's an evolution. It's a process. It's a way of living. It's a way of thinking and being and behaving every day, every moment of every day. It's a choice. It's a choice to be present in this moment in peace. It's an evolution. We don't stay there all the time, but it's a choice to get there. And it's available to everybody, every single person it's available to, if they feel the need to explore their inner landscape, right? And to deal with what they believe they need to deal with and to move forward. Some individuals have that automatic thought tape going on and they live their whole lives and they don't even question it. And there's no reason to do anything. They're just fine as they are. It's usually when you run up against blocks, obstacles, where then you say, this keeps happening. I'm not, how am I contributing to this happening? What can I do about it? Or if I'm in a state where I don't want to be in, an emotional state that I don't want to be in, and somehow I find myself there, more than I want to be, what can I do about it, type of thing. So when you come from that place, then this type of work and this working on your inner landscape can really benefit you, and then eliminate some obstacles that come up in life, because some of them are just as they are, which is life, right? Things just happen. We have no control over it. But we do have control over how we respond to what happens, and that's where we cultivate our inner landscape. So, all right, that's just what I wanted to leave a little snippet out here for you. And if you need help on your healing journey, I'll have my details down below. I'm available to help you in that process. And I wish everybody peace and love on your healing journey. Have a good day. Bye.